What's up, Broncos Country? Listen up. We did it. Playoffs. After years in the desert, our franchise is back in the postseason. But hold on. There's a catch that could completely change the course of this journey. 11 players. That's right. Denver Broncos family, 11 athletes are on injured reserve. And look, I'm not talking about decorative pieces here. We're talking about guys who would make a real difference on our roster. Stick with me until the end because what I'm about to tell you could determine whether we go far or fall in the first round. Get ready. Let's get straight to the point because this is serious and deserves our full attention. The Denver Broncos entered the playoffs with a massive problem in the medical department. The injury list is packed, and when I say packed, I'm not exaggerating. There are 11 names that won't be available right away for this journey we've all been waiting for so long. But before getting into the technical details, let me explain something important for those who might not know the NFL rules that well. When a player goes on injured reserve, known as IR, they're out for a minimum period. During the regular season, franchises can reactivate some athletes from this list, but in the playoffs, things work differently, and that's where the danger lies, folks. In the postseason, each team has the right to bring back only 2 players from injured reserve. Do you understand how serious this situation is? 2 out of 11. It's like you have a toolbox full of tools, but you can only use 2 of them to fix an entire engine. Complicated, right? Now let's get to the names, because this is crucial to understanding the scenario our team faces. I'm going to divide these guys into 2 groups, those who definitely won't come back and those who still have a chance, however small. First, the guys who unfortunately ended their season. Michael Burton, our fullback who does fundamental work in the running game, is out. Nick Gargiulo, who provides versatility on the offensive line, being able to play guard or center, also won't return. Johnny Walker, pass rusher, and everyone knows how important it is to have depth at that position, ended his year. And Matt Henningsen, defensive end who helps with defensive line rotations, same situation. These 4 were placed on injured reserve before the 53-player roster was even finalized back in August. By league rules, when that happens, the player can't return in the same season. It's like the door has closed for good. Painful, absolutely. But it's the reality we have to face. Now comes the part that really messes with our hearts. Denver Broncos family, the 7 players who technically could still return, but attention, could, conditional. Doesn't mean they will. Let's go name by name because each case is unique. Drew Sanders, our linebacker, is eligible to return now. The guy suffered a foot injury and was out during this entire final stretch, but from a rules standpoint, he could be activated for the playoffs. Sanders is one of those athletes you like to have on the roster for his versatility and the energy he brings to the defense. Will he come back? Lucas Krull, tight end, is also in the same situation, eligible now. A foot injury took him out of action, but he's completed the minimum time on injured reserve. Krull isn't the starter, everyone knows that, but having depth at that position is always welcome, especially when we think about different offensive schemes. Karina Reed, inside linebacker, has completed the necessary time and technically can be reactivated. Reed is another piece of our linebacker core that would provide that extra help, especially in specific game situations. The question is he physically ready? Here, things start to get more complex. Luke Wattenberg, our center, injured his shoulder, and the expectation is that he'll only be able to return if we make it to the AFC Championship game. Think about it. For Wattenberg to come back, the Denver Broncos need to win not 1, but 2 playoff games. Only then, in the AFC final, would the guy be physically able to wear the orange and blue uniform again. And there's more. J.K. Dobbins, running back who brought so much expectation when he came to the team, is in the same situation as Wattenberg. Foot injury, and the recovery timeline indicates he could only be available in the AFC Championship game. Dobbins is that type of explosive runner who can change the game on a single play. Having him back would be huge, but first we need to get there. Matt Pert from the offensive line and Brandon Jones from the defensive backfield are in a nebulous zone. Their return timeline is uncertain. Nobody knows for sure when they could come back, if they'll be able to return at all this season. It's almost like having two giant question marks hovering over the medical department. Now comes the dilemma that drives any fan crazy. Remember I said only 2 players can be reactivated during the playoffs? So if you were Sean Payton, who would you bring back? It sounds like bar talk, but this decision could determine the future of our campaign. The reading that specialists make, and it makes a lot of sense, is that Wattenberg and Dobbins are the most likely names. But there's that cruel detail. They'd only be ready for the AFC Championship game. In other words, Denver would have to get there playing without these guys, win 2 extremely tough games, to only then have the possibility of counting on them. It's a risky strategy, but look, a starting center like Wattenberg brings stability to the entire offensive line. He knows the protections, has chemistry with the quarterback, commands the line. And Dobbins? Man, having a running back with that explosiveness could be the difference between a converted third down or a punt, between keeping a drive alive or giving the ball back to the opponent. But what about the others? Drew Sanders, Lucas Krull, and Kareem Reed are eligible now. Wouldn't it make sense to bring at least one of them for the early rounds? Having one more piece can make a difference in a game decided by details, and playoffs are always decided by details. I'm going to be honest with you, Broncos Country. This situation is way too complicated. The management team and medical department will have to make difficult decisions weighing risks and benefits. There's no right or wrong answer here. There's only the bet on which path can take us further. Think about the pressure this puts on the healthy players. They know they're working with a thinner roster, that there's not much margin for error, that every snap counts even more. At the same time, this can create that war mentality, that battle mindset, where everyone unites because they know everyone's in the same trench. The offensive line, for example, will have to make do without some backup options that would be useful. If someone feels something during a game, the alternatives are limited. On defense, same thing. Fewer guys in rotation means the starters will have to handle more snaps, more physical wear, more punishment. And look how curious this is. We spent years complaining about lack of roster depth, and now that we finally had built something more solid, injuries arrive at the worst possible moment. It's almost like the universe is testing us, like it's saying, you want to get back to the playoffs? Then you'll have to show you deserve it by facing this adversity. But you know what's the most insane thing about all this? The Denver Broncos made the playoffs despite these 11 absences. Think about it. We put together a winning campaign, earned our spot, left traditional teams out, all this while playing with a medical department that looked like a hospital ward. This shows the strength of this group, shows that this team has heart. Hey there! If you're Broncos Country at heart and want to follow everything about our team on this playoff journey, subscribe to the channel now. Hit that notification bell because I'm going to bring every detail, every update, every emotion of this journey. We're going together until the end. Coming back here, Denver Broncos family, because there's more to discuss. Let's talk about the tactical impact of this whole situation. How does this affect Sean Payton's scheme? How do we adjust? On the offensive line, the absence of backup options forces the team to perhaps be more conservative in rotations. You can't rest anyone, because if something happens during the game, the choices are minimal. This can generate fatigue throughout the game, especially if the game goes to overtime. In the running game, not having Dobbins available right away takes a weapon out of the arsenal. But let's be fair, the starting running back has done a spectacular job. The thing is that having that reliable second option, that guy who comes in fresh in the third quarter to deliver some blows, is missed. Now it's going to be more running for fewer people. On defense, losing rotation on the line and at linebacker is complicated. Modern NFL requires you to have fresh legs, especially in the front seven. Fatigue generates gap errors, generates failures in run coverage, generates less pressure on the opposing quarterback. It's going to be a tremendous challenge to maintain the level of intensity for 60 minutes, game after game. But here's a thought. Couldn't this become extra motivation? How many times haven't we seen depleted teams make epic playoff runs? That us against the world mentality thing of embracing adversity and transforming it into fuel. The Denver Broncos locker room needs to face this situation exactly like that. Not as an excuse, but as a challenge. The guys who are available need to look in the mirror and say, "It's on us. Let's make it happen." Because complaining won't bring anyone back, won't heal injuries faster. And there's another important point, the element of surprise. Opponents are studying our team, right? They know who's injured, who's available. But precisely because we have fewer options, maybe we become more unpredictable in some aspects. Peyton is creative, he's bold, and maybe he'll pull out of his hat some schemes that nobody expected. Now back to the question of the two players who can return. The decision to wait for Wattenberg and Dobbins instead of activating someone immediately is a high-stakes bet. It's basically saying, we trust this current roster so much that we're going to save our two reactivations for when we really need them down the road. Confidence? Yes. Risky? Also. But that's how you build a playoff run, betting on your cards, believing in the group you have. And let's be honest, if Denver doesn't believe they can win the early rounds with the current roster, then they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. On the other hand, activating Drew Sanders or Lucas Krull now would provide some extra peace of mind. One more linebacker available, one more tight end for specific schemes. They're not game changers, perhaps, but they're pieces that could make a difference in specific moments. Decisions. What makes me optimistic, despite everything, is seeing how this team responded during the season. When Luke Wattenberg went down, the offensive line found a way to function. When J.K. Dobbins got injured, the offense didn't collapse. This group showed resilience, showed adaptability, and that's exactly what will be tested now in the playoffs. It doesn't matter to have the most talented roster in the world if you don't have the right mentality. And mentality is something this 2026 Denver Broncos built throughout the entire year. It wasn't an easy path. There were many ups and downs, but we got here. 11 players out? True. Only 2 can return? Also true. But you know what else is true? We're in the playoffs. After years watching from home, seeing other teams fighting for the Lombardi Trophy while we were planning vacations in January, now it's different. Now we have an important game to play. So Denver Broncos family, the message is clear. We can't control injuries. We can't change the NFL rules about injured reserve. But we can control our attitude. We can support this team that fought to get here. We can believe that even with adversities, we have a chance. Because if there's something football teaches us, it's that it's not always the most talented team that wins. Sometimes it's the team that wants it more, the team that fights harder, the team that doesn't give up even when circumstances seem unfavorable. And this Denver Broncos showed all year long that they have that fiber. The journey starts now, Broncos Country. 11 absences, 2 possible reactivations down the road, and a bunch of challenges ahead. But guess what? We didn't come this far just to participate. We came to compete, to win, to show that the Denver Broncos are a big team even when injured. So forget the numbers for a bit, forget the injury statistics, and focus on what really matters. On Sunday, when the ball is kicked into the air, 11 players on the field will wear our uniform and will give their all. And that, my friends, is what really counts. Management will make the decisions they think are best about who to bring back and when to bring them back. Our job as fans is to be there, whether at the stadium or in front of the TV, making noise, believing, pushing this team forward. Because fan energy might not show up in statistics, but every player knows how much it matters. And when, not if, but when, someone like Wattenberg or Dobbins returns in the AFC Championship game, it's going to be a special moment, because it means we managed to get there without them, and now with them back, we become even stronger. It's like getting a reinforcement in the middle of the playoffs. But until then, it's trust, it's support, it's believe. 11 injured players won't define our season. Who will define our season are the guys who are healthy, ready, and hungry to do something special. That's the Denver Broncos I know. That's the team that represents our city, our state, our passion. Look, I'm going to be very direct here with you. Would I prefer to have everyone healthy? Of course, who wouldn't? But football doesn't work like that. The NFL is a war of attrition, and who survives isn't necessarily who starts with more soldiers, but who fights with more intelligence and determination. This team has already proven they have both. Now is the time to prove it again, when the lights are brighter and the stage is bigger. Management has an extremely complicated decision in their hands about who to reactivate and when to reactivate them. But you know what? I trust them. I trust Sean Payton. I trust the medical department. I trust the players. They brought us here. They'll find a way to continue this journey. Let's go together, Broncos Country. So, Denver Broncos family, if you were the coach, who would you bring back from injured reserve? Would you wait for Wattenberg and Dobbins in the AFC Championship game, or activate someone now for the early rounds? I want to see your opinion here in the comments. Civilized, respectful debate, but put your view down there. Hit the like if you believe this team can go far even with all these absences. Share with that friend who's Broncos Country and needs to see this. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, because I'm going to bring everything about our team on this playoff journey. Every game, every emotion, every victory, we're going to live it together. Until the next video, and bring on the playoffs. Broncos Country, let's go all in.